Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am super pumped for today's video because I'm bringing y'all a very cozy Q&A. I've got my blanket and my tea and all of y'all's questions. I asked you guys on Instagram to submit some questions for today's Q&A, so I'm really excited to go through them. I've taken a peek through some of them, but there are a lot, so some of them are going to be rapid fire, some of them are definitely going to be more in-depth answers, but I'm really excited to do another Q&A for y'all because it has been 2 years since I even opened the floor for a Q&A. It's been 2 years since I've really given any sort of introduction or context as to who I am or have really shared my life story on YouTube. I sometimes forget that a lot of y'all probably are joining me over the last year or so and are kind of picking up in the middle of my story. So I thought it would be so fun to start off 2021 with a Q&A. That way you guys can get to know me more and we can just share some fun facts about me and my life. I am a little bit nervous because some of these are a little bit in depth about faith and marriage and all that stuff, but I'm really excited to share with you guys more about me, more about my life, and more about Jason and I's relationship. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I got a ton of questions on Instagram and it's always one of those things where you put out the little question bubble and you're like, is anybody really gonna ask a question? But y'all blew me away with your questions. But if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, I will link it down below. It's just @LIKEYOU, and that's where I post a lot of real-time updates. So that's where I asked y'all to ask me some questions. So I'm gonna go through all the questions right here on my phone and we're just gonna start up here at the top, and there's quite a few, so I don't know if I'll get through everything, but I'm gonna try my best. A lot of them were duplicates as well, so the ones that have been asked I'll just kind of skip over. Okay, so the first one is, how did you meet your husband? Jason and I feel like have talked about this story a couple of times, but I'm sure a lot of y'all are new here on my channel. Jason and I met in college at Belmont University in 2014. He was a music business major, I was a commercial voice major. Fun fact, I went to school originally to be a singer, and then I ended up switching my major to graphic design after one semester of being in the voice program, but we met in Nashville at Belmont. I am from Nashville, I grew up here, and then he's from Michigan. Okay, so the next question is, as a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? When I was a kid, I always thought that I was gonna be an architect. I was always very into design, and I also really liked math and science, and so the logical thought process was combining all of those and do architecture. And I actually went to UT Knoxville to tour the architecture program, and when I got there, honestly, it sounded like the worst thing ever. The guy who was giving me a tour was basically like, yeah, if you are in the architecture department, you really don't have a social life, you don't really go home. A lot of students like stay in the buildings at night because there's so much to do. And I just was like, I don't know if this is actually what I want, because I've liked school, but I was never like the best at school and it wasn't something that I really wanted to like do. And fun fact, I dropped out of college anyway, so I would have absolutely died at UT Knoxville studying architecture. But that was originally my thought process when I was in high school. I was pretty determined to go into architecture. I feel like this is gonna be bouncing around a lot, but I feel like if I don't just answer them kind of in order as I got them, I'm gonna forget to go back. So the next one is communication. How do you guys communicate in your marriage? Jason and I are both we're just very honest people with our friends and with each other. We always try to say what is on our mind in like a very nice way, but we really do try to be vocal about the things that we feel like need to be brought up. We're not people who hold things in, and so a lot of times we'll have like disagreements and we will bicker sometimes, but in the end we always communicate our thoughts and our expectations, and sometimes it can hurt the other person, but we both obviously try to communicate out of a place of love. And I feel like that has been the greatest thing for our marriage, is that we don't really hold anything in and we don't really hold anything against the other person. We're both just very upfront when something's bothering us, and so communication to us is so important. I mean, it's important in every marriage, but for us, we really try to be very honest and kind of nip things in the butt in the beginning. We don't like to fester on things. If something's bothering us, we really just like to put it out there. So that's kind of how we communicate. The next question, would you like to live abroad? I personally don't think I would like to live abroad. If we're being honest, I'm the type of person who really likes security, and I just feel like if I moved abroad, I would be really I don't know, I feel like I would be anxious or I would feel very out of place. So I really like being in Nashville. I grew up here. It just feels really safe to me, and I'm like big on feeling safe and secure and like knowing where I'm at. So I love traveling. I've been abroad quite a few times for vacations, but I can't really see myself moving abroad, and I feel like Jaywaz is the same way. Like, I don't think he would ever move abroad. We've never talked about that, so that's never really been a dream of ours. Okay, next question is, do you have any tips for young married couples? For those of y'all who do not know, Jason and I got married when he was 21 and I was 22, and we had both dropped out of college, so we were just totally on our own figuring things out. And so I feel like one thing that I would suggest to young married couples is that community is so important. You're probably gonna get married, and then you and your spouse are gonna have so much fun like living together and being married, but just keeping in mind that your community is so important. Like, you need girlfriends, he needs guy friends, and you really need time with community, because I feel like it is so important to bring your marriage out into the open to where you feel comfortable talking to people about things that you're going through, or maybe like finding a mentor or somebody who can kind of help guide you through that first year. Because a lot of times I feel like if you hold it all in and you try to figure things out all by yourself, it can be really isolating and really challenging. And Jason and I got married well before our other friends, and so we really had a hard time finding people that we could open up to and ask questions. And so if you have those types of people in your life, I would say keep them very close, because that is going to be so helpful. And also just having girlfriends. I feel like sometimes you just need to get away and hang with the girls, and sometimes your husband's going to want to get away and hang out with his guy friends, and I feel like that's really, really important, because you need time with friends, not just time with each other. What is your ethnicity? Do you speak any other languages? I am 100% Chinese, and I actually do not speak any other languages because I was adopted at 13 months and brought over to the US. How did you get into the influencing world? Okay, so I actually had a video on my channel a few years ago. It was my very first video, and it was called How I Became a Blogger, and I actually made it unlisted. I made it private because I look back on the video and it was like so embarrassing. But basically, I started being on Instagram in 2014 when the app kind of was new, and I posted a lot of my artwork. For those of y'all who don't know, I used to do a lot of drawing, sketching, illustrating, so I posted all my artwork on there, and I ended up getting quite a few followers from that. And then when I decided that I wanted to go to Belmont to study music, I started posting a lot of YouTube covers and a lot of covers on my Instagram, and so that really started my Instagram page. And then when I got to college, when I got to Belmont, I started posting some photography because I ended up switching to graphic design and photography, so I started posting a lot of my photography work. And then Instagram had this thing back in like 2014, 2015 that was called suggested user, where they pushed your account to a lot of people, and that really like rapidly grew my followers, but they weren't really like dedicated followers. And so since 2015, it's just taken a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and a lot of persistence and content to grow it into what it is now. When I started YouTube, I could not even get over 800 subscribers for the longest time. I was really stuck at like the 600 to 800 range forever, and then I just found my footing. I started posting videos that felt more true to me, and I just got also a lot more comfortable with being in front of the camera and with also talking to you guys. And so it honestly just developed over time. I can't say it was really overnight. I've been working at this since 2014 basically, and so I've put a lot of years in, and that is kind of why it is where it is now. And I'm super, super proud of all that I've done and all that it's growing to be. But that's kind of how I got started, and since then it's just been a daily grind. I feel like it's just day by day putting out content and making and creating new things. Somebody said, how do you affordably furnish your home? So when I moved into this place, I was moving out of my mom's, and I decided that I didn't want to take any furniture with me. She was offering that I could take like my childhood bed set and like my desk and everything, but I was pretty determined to do it all on my own. It was like one of those moments where I was like, I need to do this for myself. And so when I moved out, I didn't take a single piece of furniture. I did not have a bed. bed. I slept on an air mattress for the first 2 weeks, I believe, and then I just slowly started getting furniture. I would say the most important thing to me now that I've furnished a place is to be really intentional about the items that you're getting. Even if you're on a smaller budget, it's so important to take the time and do your research and look at multiple options. A lot of the stuff that I got when I first moved in here, I've kind of replaced because I was like, I gotta just get something right now. And I kind of did need stuff because I didn't have any furniture, but I would suggest taking your time and creating a vision board, creating something on Pinterest. I actually made like a Word document where I literally just added in pictures that I had screenshot of pieces that I wanted to see how they all went together. And I would seriously look for like discount codes from YouTubers. We got our new rug from Rugs USA around Black Friday, so it was super cheap. And then I always say that you can thrift stuff as well. You can thrift flip. There also are a lot of places, at least around Nashville, where you can get furniture that is secondhand, that isn't a Goodwill, but it's an actual furniture store. So maybe check if there's something like that in your area. It's really great that like mid-century and wicker is in because that stuff is being sent to Goodwill all the time. So you can definitely thrift some stuff. I know friends who like have thrifted their entire house and it looks amazing. Check out Facebook Marketplace. Just do your research, and it takes a little bit more time obviously than being able to go on websites and get all new stuff. But I feel like if you take your time with it, you're gonna find a lot of reward in picking out the pieces that you genuinely love and can see yourself using for a long time. How did Jason get into working on music? He has always worked on music. He's been doing music since he was in middle school, and I think kind of like the influencing thing, it's just been a lot of work over a long period of time. That is like my #1 piece of advice to anybody who's looking to start on YouTube or on Instagram or even in music. If you truly love it, you're gonna wanna put the hours in, you're gonna wanna put the years in, and it will be totally worth it. You just have to know that it's not like an instant gratification thing. It's like years later you see the fruits of your labor. Will you tell us more about your adoption story? So this is something that I really wanna do. I wanna do this right, and I feel like I don't wanna do this without my mom being a part of it because it's basically her story as well. So I will talk to her about doing it. It's something that I hold very close to my heart, and it's something that I want to do. I just want to do it justice, and so I really want her to be a part of that. But like I said, I was adopted at 13 months and I've lived in Nashville ever since then. What is your favorite part of your daily routine? Our morning routine is just like my favorite part of life. We wake up in the morning and we make coffees, and then we read our Bibles, and then we journal, and then we eat breakfast, and then I get ready. And that is just such a special time because we make sure to get up early enough to where we have a lot of time to not rush through all of that, and it is just like such a peaceful, centered time, and I could not live without my morning routine. What are the essentials when starting a skincare routine? I feel like vitamin C and sunscreen are the most important things to me personally. You need to be wearing sunscreen even if you don't have a skincare routine. Sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. Do you live in the central area of downtown, and is cost of living expensive? I do not live central downtown. I don't want to live downtown, TBH. I grew up in the suburbs, and so I feel really comfortable on the outskirts of Nashville. So we live outside of Nashville and we really like where we live. And I would say cost of living is not crazy high. Like, it's not New York or LA, but it's getting relatively higher and higher. For a 1-bedroom, you're probably gonna pay $1,200 for like a full apartment. And then yeah, depending if you live like downtown, you're gonna be spending $1,500 to $1,800 depending on location and how many bedrooms and all that stuff. So it's kind of around there is what I would say the prices are. We actually pay $1,350, I believe, for a 2-bedroom, 1,200 square foot place, which is actually pretty good. So to give you perspective, and we live outside the city, so it definitely is more costly the further in you live. What city could you see yourself moving to besides Nashville? I've always wanted to go to LA, but now that COVID's happened, I really don't want to go to LA. So I feel like here or maybe Grand Rapids, maybe Austin. We've talked about Austin a couple times, talked about Grand Rapids a couple times, but we really like Nashville. It's central to his job, and we just have such good community here. Favorite fashion trend you won't ever want to go away? High-waisted jeans. I don't even think it's a trend anymore, but we should really never, ever, ever get rid of high-waisted jeans, ever. They just need to stay around. I'm trying to think if there's another trend that I'm really liking. I'm really liking the tall Chelsea boot that's been going on. I really like that. And I'm trying to think if there's like another trend. I don't follow trends all that much. Actually, the shacket. I feel like the shacket was one of the best trends that's ever happened, and I don't want that to go away because they're so comfortable. Would you ever cut your hair short? No, I would not ever cut my hair short. Well, I don't want to say that. I cut it short in college and it looked really, really bad, and this is what I looked like, and it wasn't very good. And so I can't imagine myself cutting my hair this way again. However, I've been thinking about like chopping it to like here. I don't know, leave me a comment down below if you think I should cut my hair, but I can't see myself cutting it. I really like it long. I think it looks better long. I look older with it longer. Getting married in 2 months, 3-month engagement. Oh my gosh, that's really short. Any tips on planning? I would say, I feel like we've all learned kind of the last year to let things kind of roll off our backs. And I remember when I was planning my wedding that the smallest things would like really bother me or really stress me out. And so I guess if I could give any advice, it would be to be open-handed with everything and to obviously do your best planning it and trying to be organized. But if things don't work out totally perfectly, all you really remember is like being there, getting married, and like all of your favorite people with you. So that's kind of what I took out of our wedding. And obviously the flowers and the dress is really fun and really beautiful, but I feel like Jason and I's favorite part was like the people and just the moment and being together. So letting that kind of be the focus of your mind, but also planning is legit and it really is stressful. There's no way around it, I feel like. Did marriage change you guys? Absolutely. Marriage 100% will change you, even if you don't want to be changed or you're not trying to be changed. Marriage is one of the most, well, it is the most intimate relationship that you will ever have, and it really points out a lot of flaws in yourself. I feel like marriage also really refines you as a person. It makes you stare at the ugliness in your own heart, and it really makes you be less selfish. You cannot be selfish in marriage or your marriage is gonna really struggle. I feel like there's so many times in our marriage where I feel like I'm right and I'll just try to like assert my rightness, and then I have to take a moment and take a step back and go, oh my gosh, like I love this person and I should be able to sacrifice or be flexible on this idea or this thing that I want. And it really just makes you a better person because you actually have to learn to compromise with somebody and to love someone like more than you love yourself. And it is a humbling experience, but it is the best thing ever. And it has made Jason and I into way better people. This one says, good lingerie or sleepwear for a honeymoon. I think True & Co has some of the softest like underwear. That sounds so weird, but I actually got a set for one of my friends and I got it in the mail and it is the best, and I would highly recommend True & Co for that. It's so beautiful. Or Madewell. I really like Madewell stuff as well. How do I drive traffic to my website or blog? I get so discouraged. It can be so discouraging when you're looking at analytics. I would highly suggest doing more content like on Instagram or things that can lead people to your blog. I feel like if you only have a blog, then how are people gonna find it? You really need to be posting about it on more than one place. Where do I begin if I want to be an influencer? I would highly suggest you never really want to chase the influencer dream because it is not like a walk in the park, I guess. Like it is a lot of work and it's a lot of time, and there are those people that totally strike gold and go viral and then overnight they're like an influencer. But I feel like to really have influence and to also just really create a dedicated group of people that want to follow you, it takes time and it takes sharing your personal life, your personal story, being real and open with people on the internet. And it can be really scary to put yourself out there, but I would just suggest being yourself online and sharing things that you genuinely love, that you're excited about, that you're passionate about, and then people who are also passionate about that stuff will come around you and they'll want to follow you and be a part of your journey. Do you ever leave the thrift store empty-handed? Honestly, no, because I can buy something basically anywhere. It's like one of my special skills. Like you could take me into Home Depot and I could probably find like 20 things that I'm like, I need this. So when I go into a thrift store or really any store, I'm pretty open-minded about things that I could go home with. It's probably something that I should work on, but for thrifting, I feel like I am so open-minded to pieces that if I see something that I even think could work, I will usually get it and I'll take it home and really try and make it happen. So there really aren't times that I leave without something, even if it's like a belt or a scarf. I feel like the thrift stores in Nashville though are also really good, so it's really hard to leave without something. There was like one time when we were up in Michigan where I went thrifting and I didn't really find anything, so it might be just by location, but in Nashville it's really hard to not leave with something because all the thrift stores are so good here. Do you have any siblings? No, I am an only child. And what is your go-to coffee drink? I like coffee, just black. I just drink a black coffee, pour over. Also favorite spot in Michigan, which kind of has to do with coffee, is Madcap. Best coffee in Michigan. Any budgeting tips? I would say my number one tip for budgeting, if you're starting out budgeting, you don't really know where to start, is to go through like 2 months, the last 2 months of your finances, and write down everything that you spent, categorize it, and see where your excess is. I feel like so often I will like spend a little bit on Amazon, spend a little bit at Target, get a coffee here, and it really adds up. I think I saw somebody post that to spend $10,000 a year, all you have to do is spend like $27. So if you think about it, if you're spending $27 a day, you could be saving that and you could end up saving $10,000, which is crazy. So like really identify where all your money is going and just put a name to every dollar that you make. Jason and I don't have salaries, we pay ourselves, and we have fluctuating months, and so our budgeting is a little bit different than say someone who works a 9 to 5 and is on salary. But I would just try to like put a name to every dollar that you can. What did falling in love with Jesus look like for you? This question, I really like the way that this is worded because I feel like in high school, I grew up Christian, and so I grew up in the church, and I feel like in high school I had so many of those like moments where you feel like really close to God, and you go to those summer camps and you feel really close to Him. But for me personally, I feel like when I truly like felt the weight of God's love and how impactful it is to be known by Christ and to know Him was probably around 2018, early 2019. I had been in a pretty just down place. I was feeling depressed and really anxious, and I honestly wasn't doing very well mentally. And that was truly when I realized I could not save myself, that I truly needed the Lord to work in my heart to come out of that and to accept His grace and His love, and to know that I didn't have to be perfect and achieve all of the things to be loved by Him. And so that was a really big turning point in my faith journey, but that's kind of my long story, very short kind of testimony with that. Wow, lots and lots of questions about newlyweds. I had no idea so many of y'all were getting married soon. How was the transition to married life? It was challenging in areas, but it was also really good. It's so fun living with the person that you love, and it's really fun and exciting to build a home together, but it also of course comes with its own challenges of learning how to literally live with somebody. How did you become an influencer? Was it a process, and did it change your life a lot? I would say it did not really change my life that much, other than now I film a lot of the things that I would normally be doing. The PR packages are really fun, but for the most part, influencing is mostly just documenting the life that you already live. So it's really not that glamorous. I mean, I guess it's glamorous for some people, but for me personally, I am more so just bringing you guys along on the things that I would be doing anyway. Did you and Jaywaz do marriage prep counseling leading up to marriage? We did. Was it weird getting married at a young age compared to your friends? Yes, it was honestly a little bit isolating because all of our friends were still in college. We got married while everybody was finishing up their senior year, and so not only were they all in college, all of them were still single as well. So it was kind of like we were in our own little world, and that's something that I really wish we had community, like married couples around us when we got married. But now we have a married Bible study group that we're a part of and that we lead, because it's honestly so important for us to surround our newlywed friends, because you just need people around you when you first get married, because it's just a wild ride and you're just trying to figure it out, and if you have community, it helps so much. What does your family think about your YouTube career? Do you struggle with people taking you seriously? They're actually really supportive, and they have seen that I've been able to support myself for the past now 4 years. And so they don't really doubt my career in the sense that it's not a real job, because it is. But I feel like people who I'm still so nervous to even tell that I'm an influencer are like my doctor and my dentist. I still tell them that I do photography because I don't know. It feels so strange to be like, yeah, like I'm an influencer. I feel like my dentist would be like, sure, like sure you are. So my family actually is like super supportive, and they constantly are like telling people about my YouTube channel. But there are definitely people like my dentist and my doctor and like people like that who I'm like, should I really tell them what I do? Best breakfast place in Nashville. Stay Golden. Go to Stay Golden, get the fried potatoes, get the American breakfast. You won't regret it. How many kids do you want? We go back and forth. I want 2, Jason wants 3. I think I'd be fine with 3. I just don't really want 4 or more, just because TBH, I am not very good with kids, and I probably will be when I have my own kids, but I've never been the type of person that wants to like hold someone's baby when they're like, do you want to hold my baby? So I don't know. I think 2, maybe 3, depending on how the first 2 go, but I'm open to 3. That's all I'm gonna say. Wow, so many of y'all are getting married this year or next year. Any advice for us single ladies? I would say you gotta work on yourself before you can bring someone else along. I think that's what I would say, because being independent and being confident and self-assured is honestly such an attractive quality that if you just really focus on yourself and being content with who you are before you bring someone else in, I feel like that is how you can enter into a relationship in a really healthy way without being dependent on another person to like fulfill that for you. Have you been doing online church during the pandemic, or are you able to go in? We actually do it online, and we have a couple of our couples from our Bible study come over and watch it with us. Do you see kids in the future? If so, what names do you like? We do see kids in the future. Our names are pending. We know what names we want, but we're not gonna share that yet. Your favorite blush? Oh no, you can only pick one. Oh my gosh. Favorite blush. Can I pick 2? Probably Cloud Paint, just because it has stood the test of time and there are a lot of shades now. I feel like Cloud Paint is super user friendly, but runner up for sure, Rare Beauty, and then the Merit blush. Those 2 cream blushes are just amazing. Oh, I hate that you made me pick just one because I love so many blushes. Blushes are like my thing right now, but I think still Cloud Paint because I've used that for years and I still stand by it. When did you get married? We got married on March 3rd of 2018, so our 3-year anniversary is coming up, which is crazy. 3 years, can you believe it? What are your finance goals since paying off debt? Right now, we are saving for a house. We're also saving for our retirement. So we do a Roth IRA and we put in money at the beginning of the year. And so we're saving to put money into that retirement fund. We also just started an investment fund, our very first one ever, the very end of last year. So there's like no money in that, but we're really trying to put money in that every month. The house though is the main goal for us though. Can you talk about your ring set, your wedding band and engagement ring? This is my ring. This is the engagement ring. I have a video all about it. This one is moissanite, and then this wedding band is from a brand called Naomi, and I can link it down below. These are real diamonds. This is a moissanite stone though, and I have an entire video on it, so you guys can check that out. I'll link it down below. Are you reading through the Bible again this year? Yes, I am. I'm doing the plan in the back of the Hosanna Revival Bible, and I can link that down below, but there's a plan where you read through the Old Testament once, Psalm, and the New Testament twice. Have you ever thought about getting plastic surgery? I have not considered plastic surgery. I have considered Botox before. To say that I've rolled out Botox altogether would be a lie. It's something that Jason and I do not agree on, but I know a lot of people who get it, so I'm really not against that. I don't think I would ever do plastic surgery though, because that's a whole nother level of everything. But Anyway, what kind of house do you want? We want a really funky house. We want something that's really different, something that is super modern. We're looking for something that has a bunch of different angles, and I just really want something that's not super southern. A lot of houses in Nashville are very southern, like farmhousey, but we just want something that's super modern, so that's really important to us. And if we do get something that is a little bit more southern, we'll probably remodel it. So maybe we'll have a bunch of renovation videos coming out relatively soon when we get a house. Not relatively soon, but within like a year. Surprisingly, there's a lot of y'all who've asked about my hair and alopecia. For those of y'all who do not know, I got alopecia, I think in 2017. I found a bald spot on my head about this big, completely bald, and I ended up getting like a steroid shot in it, and I did Rogaine, and it's grown back completely. So I haven't had any spots since then. I think it was stress induced, but alopecia is a genetic thing. So for those of y'all who've been wanting to know about that hair update, that it has grown back, which is I'm very grateful. How to be more positive and productive in life. Honestly, I feel like whenever I feel like the most negative person in the world, I literally just try to think of things that I'm grateful for. And a lot of times the things that I'm like dreading are really good things that I've turned into burdens. So I just try to see things from a really positive perspective and just try to be grateful for the things that I do have. If I do feel really negative, or if I feel like I'm comparing myself to someone else, I just try to think about like what I have in my own life and all the good that's around me, and that usually pulls me out. Sometimes I just have a bad day though, and I just, you know what, I call it quits and I try again the next day, and I wake up with a new positive perspective. Favorite perfume other than Glossier? You guys know I love the Glossier one. My other favorite perfume is the Chanel Chance perfume. That is the perfume that I wore on our wedding day, and it is really special to me, and it's just a classic fragrance, and I really, really like it. Here's a really good one. How do you balance sharing your life online and being present, keeping some private? This is a really interesting question because so much of my life is shared on the internet. I feel like in the same way that you have close circles of friends and you have different layers of friendships, you have like your really close people who know everything about you, and that would be like Jaywaz. Jason is like my closest knit person, and then you have different layers, like your best friends, and then you have people outside of that. I feel like I try to do a really good job of sharing really intimate things with Jason and then my really close friends who are in my life. And of course, like I update you guys on stuff that's going on in my life. But if it's something that's super, super personal, I have to be really considerate, one, of who it involves. If it's between me and Jason, I can't always post about it on the internet, and I can't always tell friends either. So it's kind of like depending on the situation is how I will assess how to communicate it. And I mean, there's not that much that goes on in my life. I tell you guys most things if we're being honest, but if it's something that like Jason and I are going through, or like a friend and I are going through, I don't typically post it on the internet. And a lot of times when I am with friends are the times that I really like to be present, because I work just like every other job. I work from about 9 to 5 p.m. And so the time that I get with my friends in the evening or on the weekend are really important to me, and I really try to be present so that I can catch up with them. And kind of same thing with Jason, even though we both work from home, the times that we actually get to be together and talk are really in the evenings and on the weekends as well. So most of the days I'm filming, or I'm editing, or I'm working on projects, and so the time I am with people in my life who I love, I really try to be present with them. First video I saw of yours was the hair loss story. Any tips for others in the same boat? Hair loss is something that is so hard, and it's one of those things that you kind of feel guilty about saying it's hard because it's not, you know, life-threatening. However, it is really, really hard to process because I mean, your hair is a big part of your identity and how you look. And so for me personally, it was really challenging accepting the fact that I had hair loss problems at 21. And I feel like a lot of it was coming to peace with the fact that even though I had that, I'm still worthy, I'm still beautiful. Even if I had lost all my hair, like coming to terms with that was just such a journey for me, and I feel like a lot of times I would keep trying to tell myself like, you shouldn't be sad about this because again, it's not life-threatening, but there is a part of you that has to mourn like losing your hair and developing alopecia. It can be really challenging mentally and it can really be like a battle in the mind, and so I would say give yourself grace. And one thing that really helped me like cope with it and also like be okay with it was realizing that a lot of people kind of deal with the same thing, even if they don't talk about it, even if there's not like tons and tons of people around you that have alopecia. There are a lot of people out there that do. When I posted that video, I had so many people comment and say that they were struggling with the same thing, and that really helped me get through it because I knew I wasn't alone. And so just know that if you are struggling with hair loss, I have been in your shoes and I've had the same thing, and it is definitely a really hard thing to get through, but there is hope. I mean, my hair grew back, but I just want to encourage you and say that you're not alone in that, because I've definitely been there and it was definitely challenging for me to go through as well. What is yours and Jason's Myers-Briggs? I actually don't know our Myers-Briggs, but I do know our Enneagram. I am a 3-wing 4 and Jason is a 1-wing 9, which the 3-wing 4 is the achiever / individualist, and then the 1-wing 9 is the perfectionist and peacemaker, I believe. And those are our Enneagrams if you wanted to look that up. I'm just gonna end this here because I feel like that's a ton of questions, but I hope you guys enjoyed this little Q&A and I hope you got to know me more. And if you did, give it a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below if you made it through the entire video. If you did, I'm literally shocked because I think at this point, are we at like 40 minutes? This is gonna be a long one to edit, but if you're new here and you want to subscribe, be sure to hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you back, and I will see you guys in my next one very soon. Bye guys.